Hi, I'm Sean. This is Nathan, and we are Barely Tactical. We're out here on probably one of the last nice days of September, and we're out here with something unique.
Yeah, speaking of unique, I traded a perfectly good Winchester 1300 for this Dominion Arms Grizzly. For those of you that aren't familiar, I'll have my model hold this here.
Oh, sure. I've been working on Magnum for at least the last 8 or 9 years.
Yeah, we have titles now. This is essentially a Hawk 97, if you guys are familiar with Battlefield or Call of Duty.
I was going to say.
And this is a box-fed interpretation of a Remington 870, built in China.
China.
Takes 5-round detachable boxes. It looks like an 870, doesn't quite smell like an 870, but these things have quite the reputation. It's a Canadian classic. For those of you that remember the days of Canada Ammo, this was their bread and butter before they went defunct.
This was cheap.
They were peddling these things on the streets. They came in an 8-inch, a 12.5, and an 18.5. We have the 18.5 with ghost ring sights. We're going to take it through some paces, see if it's, something best left in the past, or is this, your next drone stopper 6000?
We never even shot this before, so you're going to see the first shots on camera, so if it doesn't work, it's going to be a short video.
This will either be a half hour or 3 minutes. Stay tuned. Shell stuck in there. Sick. There we are.
Off to a great start.
Solid start. All right, so we're back from the field, and let's talk about the Grizzly. Right off the bat, value. This thing was listed for $350. Some horse trading happened for it. So we didn't have to pay that per se, but that's what it was worth. You can see these around the $300-400 range on Gun Post.
If you're old, you saw them for free on Canada Ammo. They were
Yeah.
throwing them in, as we mentioned. So.
Yeah, so we're going to go by the used market for them, because you can't buy these anymore. They're long gone the way of the dodo. So as it stands right now, in that price point, we're giving it a 3 to 5. You're getting a decent gun for the money. Because what can you get for the $300-400 price point? You get Turkish shotguns.
Yeah.
You get like old Stevens, high mileage Winchesters. You're not getting an 870. You're not getting a 500.
No, if you're getting an 870, it's clones. You're getting clones of it, and pick your poison. Chinese, Turkish, Yeah, you're not getting any Benelli or anything like that.
For $300, you're not getting a premium firearm.
Yeah,
this is a great for the money budget firearm. I think it's
premium, dog. What are you talking about?
Top notch. Hawk 97, the Lamborghini of shotguns.
Used by everybody.
Exactly. Next is reliability.
This is a big one.
So we're going to preface this. Got the gun in the mail and sprayed some oil on it. We didn't clean it. It had dust from the old guy's means of storage. It looked like a hayfield. And this thing did have issues. Out the gate, there's some gummy oil in the chamber, whatever it was. We had a really tight chamber. We were having trouble extracting.
To trade this so bad.
And that corrected itself. Just as the gun warmed up, we got the oil kind of got working through the action.
Well, we joked in the intro saying this might be a short video. We thought we were hitting a short video.
Oh, we were like, first mag in, we were having problems. We're like, oh, we got a lemon. But lo and behold, we got through almost 150 rounds, plus minus, like mixed low brass birdshot, regular birdshot, and slugs. Depending on the magazine, these things work great. Now, I want Sean to tell the story of the plastic mag, and I'll tell the story of the metal mag.
The one you gave up on. So plastic mags, weirdly, I have to tell a little bit of that. We were having some issues with the metal mags in the beginning.
Mhm.
And traditionally, we were thinking, even because we had 2 metals and 4 plastics, and we're thinking like, oh, are we really going in the field with only 2 magazines then?
Good magazines.
Because we've, there have been issues with, cheaper feeling, and these feel cheap, we'll admit. These were pretty good. I almost said pretty good. That's a lie. They had some issues though, because actually, like, putting it in the gun, there was almost some travel issues.
You had to slap it to really flush it in.
Yeah, and if it was not like lined up exactly, like it's not something like, oh, it'll go and then like it'll fix itself. It's like, no, it'll go and then it'll stop, and you have to like reorient it or something, give it a slap, and you might just be like pushing it further in a way it's not supposed to. So it's a little finicky. Even times where you had it in, you almost had to like rock it in the last little bit. So it's a little strange. Something you don't want to do under like stressful conditions, which is why this is a plinking shotgun in our category and not like a,
go to war shotgun.
Yeah, go to war, like trust your life to it. So aside from that though, these fed pretty well.
Those loaded easy.
Load very well, yes. I enjoyed that actually.
And the least malfunctions as far as actually running the gun with the plastic mags. The metal mags at first were a complete nightmare. You could actually over insert them. So the plastic mags have this nice little ridge to kind of stop you from going too deep, a problem we all have.
Did you know when Sally sells seashells by the seashore, she's trafficking them from their home?
This does not. So you can actually over insert it ever so slightly, and then the follower won't actually
Test out these,
clear the magazine, and you get this awkward like shells popping out of the mag into the action. The shell you're trying to shuck in's on top.
There we are.
It gets messy. But these load into the gun quite nicely. Like
they glide in.
So, not so bad.
Yeah.
Comes out nice.
But then for this, like
these,
almost try. Like
that one went actually kind of nice. Of course, when it's on camera.
Figured show. So one thing, and I'll do this intentionally almost. But if you're kind of coming in at any kind of angle, like it'll go like that kind of thing. And even like trying to hit it, like sometimes it'll fight you.
Well, because you're overcoming the spring tension on that.
So this, like if you come in like that at all, you actually have to come almost like in and down a bit. It's a little finicky. It's something that probably after we work, I mean, again, as we said many times, this is the first time we shoot these things and we're doing it on camera. You cowards, you people who fire thousands of rounds and like, oh, never had any issues. Look how good I am with this. We show you warts and all. We don't know what we're doing. So we're figuring this out at the same time you guys are.
Yeah.
And what we figured out is these shot well, but loading
kind of funky.
Like not, the greatest.
Now, these load great, but had a higher margin for malfunctions. They did get better once we kind of got the hang of them and the gun kind of got cleaned up through rampant use. Yeah. But to close the loop on reliability, 2.5 out of 5. It could be a higher number if you kind of had the right magazine combination. You got really used to the gun. But for the Joe average, the barely tactical man, 2.5 out of 5.
Tell you what, we'll clean the damn thing and we'll come back to it.
We clean it and magically it works.
Best gun ever. The next category, which I will say is heavily weighted, more heavily so that I'm noticing in this one, and we'll get to that in the end, is ammunition. Now, this is a 12 gauge shotgun. Again, we're not reinventing the wheel. A 12 gauge is a 12 gauge. I can't speak. So availability is clearly a 5 out of 5. You can find 12 gauge. You can go to 7-Eleven and get a 12 gauge. Not legally. But, it's
the fact you can walk into Walmart and get a 100 value pack or go to sale, get a 250 flat. Well, I guess once upon a time you
R.I.P. Walmart. Yeah, we cleaned them out though. When they were like, hey, we're getting rid of our ammo. I was like, yes, you are.
But
in Canada, I'm sure in the States.
Yeah, in Freedom Land, you could probably find these everywhere. Here, we can still get 250 packs. It's not as cheap as it once was, but it is cheaper than shooting like 308.
Yeah, it's not 22 are cheap, but it's still better than 308 and all that. So it's got a 4 out of 5 for its cost. Reload. We don't do it personally, but we know that 12 gauge reloaders are prolific. Like they're everywhere. So
I have a press. Should we make a video doing that?
Ooh.
Do we care?
First 12, you're pulling the trigger on the first ones you load, buddy. I'll tell you that. So
triple powder load. These are gonna be high brass.
Yeah, the whole shell's just brass. Where's the shot? So this was an easy 2 out of 2. It's not a 22 where if you reload it, we make fun of you. You reload it, and it's like, oh yeah, it's economical. It makes a lot of sense. So.
Next is our overarching category of shootability and accuracy. Is this any more or less accurate than your Joe average shotgun? Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Where it picks up some serious advantage is these ghost ring sights with the actual hood, our dog ears. It makes aiming slugs super convenient. You're not just dropping a bead on something and kind of elevating the tail end to, your own demise. This you can aim like a rifle, and that's huge. We had pretty good success lobbing slugs at 30, 40 yards, whatever it was.
The thing for me is always with a shotgun is accuracy is a really hard one to do for shotguns. It's like, well,
you're not bench resting.
Yeah, you're not like, oh, what's my grouping? It's like grouping, like especially with any kind of shot. With this though, because my first few shots at the target with slugs, I was shooting low, but as soon as you kind of like learn where
it's printing,
it's good. I will say, I'm still not a use sights to shoot clays guy.
You can't be.
No, in the video, I was trying to like, okay, I'll try and line up, and then afterwards, like, no, you almost like just like aim it, like bore sighted almost like,
100%.
And you're just hitting all the clays. So I do appreciate the accuracy, like the inherent, like increase in accuracy with the sights on this. It's still a shotgun. I'm going to say that though. Like
yeah, it's an open cylinder. There's nothing fancy going on. But I do think having these sights gives it some more utility and at least accuracy through like ease of aiming.
It's an improvement for sure. Like if a regular shotgun was, let's say, 3 out of 5, let's think this was, not spoiling it, a 3.5 out of 5.
3.5 out of 5.
Because there's just a little extra. So just good.
Recoil. I don't know if you guys have ever had the privilege, maybe the honor of holding an Orinco. These rear buttstocks are solid plastic.
It's 2 pounds. It's damn near 2 pounds, that stock. Like
when I was putting this shotgun together, I showed him a genuine 870 stock and this one. And the 870 stock's pretty hollow. There's a little bit of like plastic where it needs to be rigid. This is like they had a mold, they poured solid plastic inside it, then bored a hole out for the screw to go through.
Hefty, hefty, hefty. Whippy, whippy, whippy.
So there's some heft to this.
It's about 4 times heavier than the other one was. Because the other one was probably, like 200 grams or something? And this is at least like 8, 9.
And the butt pad on this is actually pretty heavy duty. It eats recoil quite well. We're hammering slugs with this. No issue. Mag dumping bird shot. No issue. So recoil, we were 4 to 5. This is pretty tame. I would give this to a new shooter.
I think so.
And they could probably...
Well, because again, with the recoil impulse of shotguns, like there's all the discussion of like push versus shove. And like shotguns, it's not usually a pleasant recoil because it just kind of hammers you. This has the weight to it, as is right now. I don't know. Would you actually put the other stock on it? Is a question, actually.
I would do it as an experiment, just to see how, like on that sliding scale of recoil versus like maneuverability kind of thing. Like, if it saved that 1.5 pounds, does it kind of change the feel of the gun that much, or is it just chasing single percentage improvements? Maybe that's the thing. We'll try it with the other stock.
Maybe that's actually a reminder to people that like if you don't like your firearm the way it is, there are changes you can make.
There are options.
Yeah.
Speaking of options, you're kind of stuck with the controls that are on this thing. For manual of arms, it's an 870 in all the ways that you would think. Got your button. You have an extended action release there because there's this big blob where the magazine goes in. You have this tab for opening mags. We gave it a 3 out of 5. It's okay.
It's not breaking any records.
No, it's everything you kind of imagine where it should be. Is it super polished? No, it's kind of clumsy to load. Completely serviceable.
Well, the magazines were kind of a detractor in this one because that is the big thing of this is like, well, it's box magazines, which you don't see very often with shotguns.
Why don't they do box mag shotguns?
I mean, this is the first one ever. Like, come on. Like, so there are some issues there. I mean, tube magazines are, tried and tested at this point. Like, but the thing with the manual of arms is like we're almost spoiled, like in a way, because we're so used to 870s and all that. We're like, oh, of course the safety's here, of course it's here. But realistically, those are really good.
They are good spots.
They're good spots. Like
so, why reinvent the wheel?
Yeah. So,
and if you wanted to pimp this out, you could throw like a jumbo safety from like Van Comp or S&J or whomever. You could change a couple things about it, but it's not changing the gun that much. It still is an 870 pattern. The box mag stuck to it.
Speaking of not reinventing the wheel, the next one is firepower. This is a 12 gauge. Well, no, more specifically, it's a shotgun. So the firepower doesn't come down to the implement itself. It actually comes down to what you're firing out of it. So we try to look at it as, well, what is probably the beefiest thing you're putting through this? It's a slug. I mean, it's a slug or it's
high brass,
high
1
brass
1/4
something.
ounce slug. Like,
yeah. So
that's
we're
some
kind of
serious
going,
medicine.
yeah, we're going. I mean, obviously, the difference between that and like your average like garden variety birdshot, like there are different applications, different results. But we thought we'd go on the high end, so we're going 4 out of 5 for that because the slug is pretty substantial. It will defeat most things you're pointing.
Bipedal or quadruped?
Yeah, it's it's not a good time. Even if a plate catches or something like that, you're not going to feel good underneath that.
No.
So I think that's an easy 4 out of 5. There's been a little change in our firepower category, and it's a sad change in a way. We always had capacity as one of our what's the word I'm looking for? One of our categories. No more, and it's simply just because we're in Canada, and it's either do you fire 5 rounds or do you shoot less, or do you have like or it's a 22 that has like a long.
Yeah.
It's just they're going to be the same numbers every time, and we feel like it kind of throws off the actual score of these firearms. So we've gotten rid of that. If we ever get some freedom here and we can actually go up to 30-round mags and stuff like that, like maybe we'll change it.
Yeah, then we have room to actually, give some variety in scores, because especially with the new magazine laws, everything's going to be 5.
Pun intended, we were stuck in a box. Like, so it's,
Yeah, exactly.
But, which brings us to our last one in firepower, which is rate of fire. I honestly, and I love these bolt action shotguns, I feel like pump action shotguns are just the bolt actions of shotgun world, where it's just like, well, how fast are you? Like, how fast can you, manipulate this to get it going? So,
now I will say, and this kind of is a tailing back to the reliability, you can run this too quickly and kind of get the gun jumbled over itself. Like with a really well dialed in 870 or 500, you could whip that thing around like it's going out of style. This, you don't have to slow down. You almost have to get into a cadence with it, so it'll load nicely.
And I definitely found that too. There was one, thing of reloading where I wasn't getting it all the way. Like it was just weird. I felt like I was running it fine, like I would with like my Ithaca or anything else like that. But I just had to almost like put a little extra care into what I was doing. And cadence is the right way. Like you have to get into that rhythm of doing it. Like otherwise, you're like short shucking it just by like millimeters. It felt because there were times when I was like, wow, the trigger's not like activated here, and then you just move it just the tiniest bit, and it's like, oh, I swear I went all the way. Which could also be maybe it's not broken in as much, and like there is still some resistance to it. Who knows? We'll clean it. We'll clean the damn thing. But
we'll clean it, pimp it out, and do a round 2. What? Comment below if you want to see this gun again, or if you're disgusted by it.
Yeah, we'll light it on fire.
Comment below.
We'll have a bonfire.
Let it burn, boys.
But anyway, so rate of fire with this, we went 3.5 out of 5. It's kind of on you. It's not semi-automatic. It's not single shot.
Because it could be this. Or it could be like same gun, different amount of enthusiasm.
Yeah. Be enthusiastic. With this one, especially our first few rounds, like we really had to hammer it when
the poor thing, we probably should have cleaned it. I'm gonna level with you. I should have cleaned it.
He's hanging me out to dry on this one. Oh my god!
But before we're like, oh, it's an 870, it's gonna work. I mean, which is true, but you could always clean your guns.
Okay, I'll say this. I'll even give you a defense here. It's not a semi-automatic. It's cheap. It's dirty. Based on an 870, they're pretty reliable. So like, it should have been cleaned, but at the same time, I do understand the implement of like, well, it's a shotgun. Like people don't clean their shotguns every time. Sometimes they work.
Exactly.
But, look at that. I'm giving you a branch.
Based on how brown the dust was on the site, it may have sat for a while.
Yeah. Also, she's smoky. There was some stuff coming out. Whether that's the stuff you sprayed. Yeah. But that brings us to our X Factor. What is the X Factor on this one?
So I am giving it 1 full X Factor because I kind of a 2-parter, but we only think it's worth 1 X Factor. It's a box fed 870, essentially. So you have all the cool accessories, like you could put your Magpul SGA, your Surefire forend, swap the barrels out, and we have just playing around. And you get box fed goodness. That's unique enough that we think it warrants one full X Factor.
Yeah. I mean, pull out a box fed shotgun right now. Oh, you don't have one? There you go. Like,
Cool, the Hawk 97 wins.
Speaking of champion, I'll admit, this one scored higher than I expected it to, and I think it's because it is being reviewed as a plinker, so the ammunition category is a little higher, because obviously it's a plinking weapon, like, you want it to be cheap, affordable, like, reloadable.
Plentiful ammo.
So this actually came out with 47.25 or 80%, which is pretty high.
That's pretty high.
I actually might not have given this an 80% if somebody asked me to score it right now and give it to you. But based on our metric, and we can't argue with ourselves, because that's just crazy, right?
Yeah. We're infallible. We're like the Pope.
Yeah, barely tactical. So we gave this an 80%. It's definitely something I think we're going to bring out again. Mess around with the mags, clean it, maybe try some different kind of ammo through it. We were, in its defense, throwing Challenger through it a lot, which, as most people know, Challenger's not so great.
You know what? It did go bang every time I pulled the trigger. Every single time.
Which is nice. There are a few double feeds of the metal magazines. And
with the over insertion. And we'll lay in, if we haven't laid the footage in, we'll lay the footage in of the rounds kind of stacking on top.
It's probably the first time we've ever had over insertion problems.
We're supposed to say it happens all the time.
I'm just so big. But it's fun. I think $350 was the price for it. And even then it was a trade. So
now, knowing all that you know.
Oh no.
You're in the Ukraine and you need a anti-drone implement. Because right now they're getting sent those semi-automatic Turkish shotguns that TFB proved are garbage. Is this a better choice than those?
Inherently, I mean, you should go watch our Do Turkish Shotguns Suck. To spoil it, they do. For the most part. Might be part 2 coming. There's definitely part 2 coming. I still want something different. I still want a 1301 or a Benelli M4 or something. But I take this over Turkish shotgun any day for a few reasons. One of which, even if it's a semi-auto Turkish, piss off. I want to manually manipulate it because I don't trust you.
Well, where I think the magic comes into this design is you could have your buckshot mags and you're doing the warfighter thing and you hear that hum in the distance.
Get your bird.
Grab your bird shot mag, and now it's an anti-drone implement. And then you're up against the door. You grab your slug mag. You're now a breacher team, a one-man show.
It's true. I think that bird mag is probably going to be the best mag I have because,
you want that one to work.
your chances of getting destroyed by a drone or something else is seemingly higher now.
Yeah.
So it's funny how there's a resurgence of shotguns. I was like, shotguns are dead. It's like, we're back, baby.
We are back, baby. We are fucking back. We're back. Classic. We are back. We are back.
There's drones in the sky.
We have to rise up and fight the machines.
Bring back the trench guns. John Moses Browning resurrects. So
would you give this the Drone Slayer 6000 accolade, or does it need to be vetted more?
It needs to be vetted more. I wouldn't.
Okay.
It's Drone Slayer 12. Just because it shoots 12 gauge. That's all. I'd use it. I'd still buy something different.
More better and good.
Hey mom, can you send me something in the bag? It's in my closet. Go grab it. I don't live with my mom. Well, what about you? Would you?
If I get some more time behind it, this thing has potential. I do like the idea you could just change a mag in an instant. There's no this cleaning your tube out or dropping around, putting your breaching charge in. You can just change your mag.
That's true.
And you have a whole new system essentially.
You know what? We're judging this a little too. We just met. This is our first time. There was a little jittery.
We didn't even take it out to dinner, and we tried it out behind a Denny's parking lot and ravaged it.
I'm still dirty. Works for me.
It hasn't even washed off between clients. And we're complaining about how it smelled.
I ain't clean either. Oh god.
But
this got off the rails.
So you know what? If you happen to see one of these dirty SOBs on Gunpost and you have $350, $400 laying around, take a dance with the devil. See what happens.
Just maybe get okay. Which mag do you endorse? Plastic or metal? Because they are kind of different.
I would endorse the plastic mags.
And I want to love them because they never double fed for me. I never had an issue with the metals myself. So right now they're my rock stars. these made me look foolish.
Mm.
And I don't like to be foolish.
Speaking of foolish, you should probably subscribe if you haven't. Don't forget to like the
They're-
video.
They're gone.
We've been talking to dead air the last 33 minutes. Keep your sights fixed on Barely Tactical. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, let's try this.
All right.